Earlier, we covered authentication, the first component of the 3 A's of security. Next up, we'll cover authorization, which is usually tightly coupled with authentication. Now, while authentication is related to verifying the identity of a user, authorization pertains to describing what the user account has access to or doesn't have access to. These are separate and distinct components of AAA that have different purposes. A user may successfully authenticate to a system by presenting valid credentials, but if the username they authenticated as isn't also authorized to access the system in question, they'll be denied access. When we talked about Kerberos earlier, the user authenticated and received a ticket-granting ticket. This can then be used to request access to a specific service by sending a request to the ticket-granting service. This is when authorization comes into play, since the ticket-granting service will decide whether or not the user in question is permitted to access the service being requested. If they're not permitted or authorized to access the service, the request would be denied by the ticket-granting service. If the user is authorized, the ticket-granting service would return a ticket which authorized the user to access the service. One very popular open standard for authorization and access delegation is OAuth, used by companies like Google, Facebook, and Microsoft.